When I first started playing flamenco guitar, there's a lot of notions that I had that turned out over the years to be wrong through massive trial and error and a lot of teaching and learning from other people. And in this video, I want to show you 5 things I wish I knew when I first started playing flamenco guitar to make you a better player faster. And at the end, I have a 6th bonus one, which I actually did know because it's how I started playing. But you might not like it because you're going to have to get out of your room, but it's really going to help you be a better player as you study flamenco guitar. A lot of these are going to dovetail into the next because they're all super interrelated. And number 1 is learn the form, not the piece. This seems pretty obvious at first, but a lot of people just don't do it or really don't have a good grasp over what they're doing. If you're watching this video, you probably know what a falsetta is. Those are the fun riffs that we love to learn. That's what we as guitarists love to do the most. And the compás is that main rhythm. But if we don't know what that underlying rhythm is, or we think, a lot of times we think that we do, but we don't, because we don't practice it enough, and wait for the 6th one at the end of this video, and that's how you're going to get there the fastest. But what a lot of us do is we get on YouTube and just look for all the falsettas that we can because they're fun to play, but never really are able to stitch it together into something that really sounds cohesive. Or when we actually need to perform something, all we have is a bunch of falsettas and we don't know how to put them together into something that people actually want to listen to. And the good thing is the compás can work as a buffer, a kind of a resting place, or kind of a place where we can gather our senses before we do the next falsetta anyway. So you really need to know what the form is, whether it's something simple like Faruka, or tangos, or something more complicated like the 12-beat ones like alegrias. It's really great if you're able to count out loud and know exactly where all those accents are before you start adding in all the fancy stuff. Number 2 is you don't have to be exact. Now, if you're coming from the classical guitar world, you're probably much more oriented towards playing exactly what's on the page. But one of the advantages I think that flamenco has over classical in that sense is that there's so much leeway. As long as you know the form, we can simplify just about anything. And so the mistake that I made over the years was learning a flamenco guitar performance piece and then getting stuck on a really fast picado passage, for example, and then I just would stop and go, well, I can't do that, so I have to stop learning this piece. But what I should have done is simplify it. So when that happened, I was really doing myself a disservice, because if I could just simplify that part, and it's pretty easy to simplify things, you can just play every other note even. You have to know a little bit of music theory sometimes to really be able to adapt a falsetto or adapt something that's too hard for you. But it's not cheating if you do that, as long as the accents are still in the right place. Like I was saying, first you have to know the form. But if I had simplified those, I would have a full performance piece that I could keep playing, and that could be part of my repertoire, and I could keep building on that and keep improving. But instead, I just threw it away and thought it was too hard for me. The 3rd one might sound silly, but it's super important. Don't hurt yourself. Flamenco guitarists 99% of the time sit with the guitar on the right leg, so we're already at a disadvantage. The classical players elevating the left leg and sitting with the guitar like this really keeps our wrists nice and straight, so there's a real reason why they sit that way. But when we're sitting like this, we're already at a disadvantage where we have to crank our wrist around a little bit like this, especially to play tremolo. My wrist is cranked around like that, whereas if I were in the classical position, the guitar would be meeting me where I want my wrist to be in terms of it being relaxed. The thing also that's specific to flamenco guitar, there's a lot of, or it seems that there's a lot of pain, and even guitarists of any style look like they've smelled something bad or that they're in pain when they're playing. Now that's all an act. We want to feel the music, you can close your eyes or whatever and wince all night long, but we don't want to actually be feeling any tension if we can keep from it. So look at the best flamenco guitarists in the world. They might be looking like they're emotionally in pain, but physically they are not at all, hopefully. You can look at their wrists and see how straight their wrists are, how curved their knuckles are, and how effortless things look, and that's how we want to be at all times. If you play nylon string guitar, the 3 most essential techniques are picado, rasgueo, and arpeggio. Check out my free workshop below where we do a deep dive on these 3 techniques, and I give you a great drill that combines them all together and gets you playing this correctly in very little time. Also very related to numbers 1 and 2, this is number 4, and it is don't obsess over rasgueos. These rasgueado patterns, these are when we hit our nails against the string. There's so many of them and so many different sounds we can get from them. What I made the mistake of doing was thinking that, again, like what I was talking about, and I think number 2 here, was that if it says we got to play a quintuplet rasgueo, well, you got to do that. Well, no, you don't. As long as you know the form, you know the accents. There's some rasgueos that are just going to always be harder for you, and some that are always going to be easier. So my understanding of how Gerardo Nunez plays, one of the best players in the world, he doesn't even use his pinky, as far as I know. So that completely completely precludes him from playing the traditional four-stroke rasgueo that you see in every single book, but it's all about the rhythm, right? If the rhythm is right, it is right. So if you have some injury in a finger, like Django Reinhardt or something, I've had students where they can't use a certain finger or another, you could just wiggle your index finger and get the right rhythm. You could go... Okay, that was the compás of alegrias, just using this finger, and yeah, it would sound better if I went and threw all those fancy things in there. But again, this is going to hold you back from actually playing music. So don't worry about, is it a 5-stroke there? Is it pinky? Is it upstroke or whatever? Learn as many of those as you can. Your fingers are going to gravitate towards the ones that they really like, and that's the ones that you can use the most. An example also comes to mind of Juan Martin. He's got all those great books out there. He does this rolling 4-stroke like this, pinky, ring, middle, index. I really don't see almost anyone ever really doing that well. There's always a galloping sound to it. When he does it, it sounds nice and smooth. So for that reason, in all those books, he does it all the time. He does it too much. And why does he do it? Because his fingers like it. If your fingers don't do it. Number 5 is be careful not to fixate on one technique. You need to mix up these techniques. So what can happen, and if you have this laser focus that you need to learn anything well, you might really get into rasgueos and now your picado sucks. I think for a lot of us, we like to play picado so much because it's kind of like the shred metal for nylon string. Playing these really fast scales. We like to do that so much just because we're guitarists and that's what we like to do. Everything is an athletic exercise. But I would say my number 1 tip in this regard is to pick some pieces to play in your normal repertoire, like in your warm-up routine or something, that have the maximum number of techniques. If you can find a song, a flamenco piece that has picado, a bunch of different rasgueos in it, tremolo, of course tons of arpeggio, alta pua as well, you're at least giving your fingers the opportunity to run through those techniques and really maintain them. Whereas if you just focus on one thing, which is easy to do, those other techniques are going to start to suffer. That's why I always warm up with Punta y Tacon, that Faruca by Sabicas, because it's got so many good tasty things in there. It begins with arpeggios. It's got tremolo in there. It's got fast picado phrases. Arpeggio again. It doesn't really have alta pua exactly, but it's got some really fast thumb stuff that we need. So I like to use that one just to keep all my techniques, for the most part, all the main ones, kind of at a certain level. But that being said, though, I find that techniques can be kind of seasonal. Like you can really be feeling good about your arpeggios at one point, and then the next month your rasgueos are really improving. So there is definitely an ebb and flow to that, but definitely see if you can learn a couple of pieces that have a broad spectrum of techniques for that technique maintenance. Those are my 5 quick tips for getting better at flamenco. They really will help you if you take those to heart. Number 6 is a super important one. This wasn't something that I wish I knew because I did it when I was a teenager there in high school, and that is play for dancers. As guitarists, we like to sit in a room and play by ourselves. I mean, I certainly do that. It's really my retreat from the world. And I think that's why a lot of us get into music, whatever the instrument is. And when it comes to flamenco, I like to play solo pieces. I don't really, playing for dancers isn't anymore anything that I really want to do. But that's really what underlies the entire universe of flamenco, are those rhythm forms, and there's the singing too, which is a whole other can of worms. But if you can, in the city that you're in, hopefully if you're in a big enough city, somebody is studying flamenco, and there's a flamenco class going on right now in the city that you live in, try to contact those dancers or the teacher and see if you can sit in and start strumming through some of these rhythms. You're not going to be playing any falsettos probably, but it's going to really force you to over and over and over get these rhythms down, and nothing will make you a better flamenco player than that. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. You can check out some of my courses on theversatileguitarist.com. And if you check out this next video, we'll talk about 2 chords that will allow you to play tons of flamenco forms.